guys, I'm Steph and welcome back to my beauty stash. Today we're going to be playing around with some brand new Wet n Wild makeup products. I picked up 6 different eyeshadow palettes. Wet n Wild has recently reformulated their eyeshadow palettes, so no more quads. Now we have 5-pan eyeshadow palettes, and the 10-pan eyeshadow palettes still remain, but with a brand new formula. I picked up all 4 of the 10-pan eyeshadow palettes, and I picked up 2 out of the 6 different 5-pan eyeshadow palettes. I also picked up their new eyelash curler because I needed to have another one here in my stash, and I picked up the brand new Big Poppa Mascara. So we're definitely going to be trying these products today. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to use all of the palettes in today's video. I am going to show you swatches of all of them that I did in natural lighting, but for today's mini tutorial, I'm going to just focus on the 2 5-pan eyeshadow palettes. And then in later videos, I will be dedicating a video to each palette where I will create 2 different looks. So be on the lookout for those videos because I'm probably going to be uploading like these 2 in one day and then these other 2 the next day. So that will be coming up within the next few days. So if you were interested in seeing some looks with these 10-pan eyeshadow palettes, definitely stay tuned because they will be on my channel in a couple of days. But today we're going to focus on the little 5-pan palettes. Now, these palettes, again, are reformulated, and right off the bat, when I was swatching them outside, because you guys know I like to do my swatches in natural lighting, and we had a lot of sunshine today here in South Texas, I could really tell the formula was different. I was like, oh my goodness, like, is this Wet n Wild? Like, it felt really creamy, really buttery. I mean, it was just completely different from the Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes that I have in my stash. Now, unfortunately, I have been decluttering a lot of items, and I got rid of all of my Wet n Wild 10-pan eyeshadow palettes just because I had them in my stash for a while and they were already starting to get a little bit of hard pan. So since I had a lot of the quads and I had that larger palette that had a lot of those shades that were in the 10-pan palette, I decided, you know what, let me get rid of these 10-pan palettes, and eventually, you guys know I'm going to replace them. But then Wet n Wild released the new 10-pan palettes, and I was like, yes, this is my time to get some of them back in my stash. Now, some of the color schemes of these eyeshadow palettes were in past palettes. It's just a revamped formula. And then, of course, some of the eyeshadow palettes, the color schemes are brand new. Take this one, for example. This one is called My Lucky Charm, and unfortunately, I've already dug my nail. I just got a manicure today, but I've already dug my nail in there, so just ignore that. But isn't this gorgeous? I mean, look at these stunning shimmer shades. This is the 5-pan Color Icon eyeshadow palette from Wet n Wild in the shade My Lucky Charm. Now, the other palette, this one was already existing, but in a quad. This one is called Petalette. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Guys, what's with me and mispronunciations? But this one is Petalette, and I do happen to have the quad that this corresponds to, and it is this one right here. This is the old Petalette that has been in my stash for quite some time, and then this is the new and improved Petalette. So I'll be swatching these on camera. This is probably the only one I'm going to get to swatch on camera. All of the other swatches will, of course, be in natural lighting and there'll be photographs. But I do, since I do have the old and new, I do want to swatch that for you guys on camera. Now, as far as the 10-pan eyeshadow palettes, the only one that was pre-existing was this one right here. And this palette is called Nude Awakening. Nude Awakening is definitely a fan favorite, and I can see why Wet n Wild chose to bring it back in this new formulation. Just a really easy, everyday, wearable eyeshadow palette. You can create many different looks with this. So if you love more of the neutral tones, but you still want to do something a little bit smoky, a little bit dramatic, this would be a great palette to start with. Now this next one is so pretty. This one is called Lights Off. And guys, I think we have a duochrome right here. Oh my goodness, a duochrome, and it's $6. This palette is $6. And I think I forgot to mention, but the 5-pan palettes are $4. 4, 6 for $10. Look at all these shades that you're getting. 15 different shades. But gorgeous, gorgeous, cool tone color story. Really nice. This and Nude Awakening would be a great combo to pick up, especially if you love more of the nude tones. You have a warm tone and a cool tone right here. This next one is really pretty, also kind of a neutral palette. This one is Call Me Sunshine. And I'll have to admit, guys, when I first saw this, it reminded me of Urban Decay Naked Honey, which is definitely one of my favorite nude eyeshadow palettes and just one of my favorite Urban Decay eyeshadow palettes altogether. But this is really pretty. And guys, those shimmers, they swatched pretty well, as did the mattes. I have to say, guys, I think the mattes swatched a little bit better than the shimmers did. I think they felt a little bit more creamy, more buttery. Who doesn't want that with one of their matte shades? Really nice color story in this one. And then the last one, and forgive me, I have to keep looking down at my phone because when I removed this sticker to open the palette, the shade name came off with it. This next one is called Heart and Soul. And here it is right here. This little palette right here reminds me of one of the other 10-pan eyeshadow palettes that Wet n Wild has. And that one was called Rosé in the Air. And I'll put a picture of Rosé in the Air right here. And I'll just hold this one so you can kind of see. Unfortunately, that was one of the ones that I decluttered. But this is a nice update to Rosé in the Air, which is also kind of like a dupe, a take on the ABH Modern Renaissance palette. So if you loved that color scheme, maybe you're just looking to update your Modern Renaissance and you don't want to shell out a lot of money, $6 right here for this new Wet n Wild eyeshadow palette in Heart and Soul. All right, so now let's open up the mascara. This is the Big Poppa Mascara. It is not a waterproof mascara, which I personally don't like a waterproof mascara, but I do know some of you out there, that is the only thing that you can use, and it's the only thing that helps your lashes to stay curled all day. I get it. You do what works best for you, but let me open this up. Here we go. I don't want to tear the packaging because I want to be able to read what the claims are with this. Now this mascara retails for $5.99 or $6. I'm just going to round up everything. $6 on the Wet n Wild website, as do all of these palettes, guys. These are all available on the Wet n Wild Beauty website. That is where I picked them up. I have not seen these like on the Ulta Beauty website. I haven't seen them at Walmart, and I was in Walmart. I was in 3 different Walmarts yesterday, running around looking for those Physician Formula bronzers, those new matte bronzers, which if you haven't checked out that video, definitely check it out. It was the video I posted yesterday on Monday. So I didn't see any of these new Wet n Wild products. And I do make it a point to browse through the entire cosmetics section when I do go to Walmart. So I want to say these will be creeping into stores very soon. But if you are curious about them and you want to pick them up, definitely go to wetnwildbeauty.com to place your order today. This is what the packaging looks like. It has a crown up here. Really cute. Big Poppa. Now the claims on this Big Poppa mascara say it reigns supreme with its lash maximizing formula that delivers outrageous volume, length, and thickness in one coat. Lashes stay lifted and never weighed down for instant drama and fullness. Nourishing formula is infused with castor oil, which naturally possesses omega-6 fatty acids, essential proteins, and nutrients. Hourglass brush boosts with 500 plus crimped bristles that grip every hard to reach lash with maximum adhesion for epic volume, length, and definition. So those are all things that I personally look for in a mascara. I really want separation and volume. That is what I need. I have the length because I use Eyelash, and if you're interested in Eyelash, there is a short write-up in it in the description box of this video, so you guys can check that out. But I definitely want volume and I want separation. So those are two things that I do look for in a mascara. And let's open this up. The wand looks like, so it is, like they say, an hourglass shaped wand. Definitely see that there. Doesn't smell like anything. All right. And then, of course, the eyelash curler. It looks like it's rose gold. This is rose gold. Yeah, I think this is a little rose gold moment eyelash curler. Very, very cute. And this little eyelash curler right here was $3, so not bad at all. So first, guys, let's swatch and compare the formulas, the old versus the new, and I'm gonna be doing this with the Petalette eyeshadow palette, and then I'm gonna insert swatch photos that I did of all of these eyeshadow palettes in natural lighting so that you can see what they are going to look like on a fair to light skin tone. And then we're gonna get to the demo portion of the video, and I will be creating two different looks for you guys using the two new 5-pan Color Icon eyeshadow palettes that I picked up from wetnwildbeauty.com. And again, remember guys, I will be dedicating a video to each of these 10-pan eyeshadow palettes where I'll be creating two different looks. So definitely be on the lookout for those videos that will be uploaded really, really soon to my channel. All right, so let's go ahead and start swatching the new Petalette palette versus the old Petalette palette. And I'll be doing the new one up here at the top and the old one right here at the bottom. I still have some glitter here. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna go in order of this palette. Super creamy and smooth, guys. Look at that. Really, really nice. Like, I was really impressed with how these shadows feel. I'm going with this one. Even the mattes, but look, as you can see there, I pressed too hard in the pan, and that's what happens when you press too hard. You'll get those little flakes. Doesn't matter if you're using your finger or the brush. That is what I have noticed. Be careful, be gentle with the palette. This shade is not in the old palette. That's such a pretty shade. Look at that. Again, they feel so buttery and so smooth. And then this is our last shade. And there you have the new Petalette palette from Wet n Wild. So there's definitely a difference when I'm getting this from the pan, from the new to old. It is definitely not as creamy. I think these two shades are a little bit different. I want to say that the new one has more of a sheen versus the old one that's more matte. The next shade is this one up here at the top. You see it? This one's a little more true to shade, but again, the one at the top, the new one, was way creamier. We don't have an old shade for this one, so I'm going to jump over here to this one, which is the shade right here. It's the old one. I definitely see a difference in the intensity, but it could be also because this is
not just an old palette, but an old palette in general. I've had it for a while. So you can really feel in the swatches the different formulation. And I think it's a good thing. I'm glad that they went to this more creamy formula. This is the last one. This is a pretty lackluster shade in the old palette. As you can see, it's barely showing up there. But there's the new and there's the old. Let me turn down the ring light a little bit more. Let me just turn it off so you guys can see. This is in just natural, well, not natural lighting, but indoor lighting. All right, guys.
Alright guys, so these are the two completed looks using the new 5-pan Color Icon eyeshadow palettes from Wet n Wild. This one is in the shade Petalette. This one is in the shade My Lucky Charm. What do you guys think of the looks? I have to say, I definitely have a few thoughts, a few opinions on these eyeshadows, swatching versus actually applying them to my eye, as well as the mascara and of course the eyelash curler. So let me start with the mascara and eyelash curler. The eyelash curler works like any old eyelash curler. Nothing particularly special about it. It was easy to curl my lashes. It didn't hurt my lashes. It didn't hurt my eye. I like it. I needed one. I'm happy I got it for $3. Next, we have the Big Poppa Mascara. I will say I think this is one of Wet n Wild's better mascaras. I have yet to really meet a Wet n Wild mascara that I really like. All of them are kind of just middle of the road for me, but I can definitely see myself reaching for this more. It is a very lightweight formula. Now, I did build it up. I did go in with 2 coats. Actually, I think I might have gone in with 3 coats just because I kept brushing through and brushing through. But you can definitely see the length, the definition, both to the top and lower lashes. I do like the separation that I'm getting. And I just like how lightweight it is overall. I think it's a pretty decent formula. So I do think if you're looking to add a new mascara to your stash and you don't necessarily want it to be waterproof, which I don't like to use waterproof, then I think this one is definitely worth checking out. Again, I do feel it is one of the better mascaras that Wet n Wild has made. Now, as far as the new 5-pan Color Icon eyeshadow palettes, let's start with Petalette. I thought that the shades were really easy to blend. I will say, and I did show you guys, there is definitely kick up in the pan with all the shades. Now, I'm going to tell you guys to be really careful when you're going into the shimmer shades because they're really soft. They're really buttery and smooth, but they're very easy to blend. But do be careful when you're dipping your brush in there. Do not press too hard because then it's going to start to crumble. And that's kind of what happened to me in the My Lucky Charm palette. With this shade right here. I guess I just pressed too hard with my brush and it started to crumble, so I kind of had to press it back in. So they are creamy, they are very smooth, but you do need to proceed with caution when dipping your brush in there. With that said, I do think they provided great pigmentation. The only shade that I had to kind of work to really build up, and I don't know that I necessarily got it to the color I wanted, or maybe it's just the way the color is intended to be worn. It's this shade right here, and I know it is a very light shade, but I thought that building it up, it would kind of, you know, add some more depth, some more pigmentation. But out of both of these palettes, I would say that was the only shade that was a little disappointing. Other than that, I feel the purples were really nice. They blended into each other really well, as did the blues and greens and golds in this My Lucky Charm palette. I do have to say, I think I am partial to this one. I just love the color story in this one a little bit better, and I really like the way this eye came out. I did spray my brush to use some of these shimmers. That'll be up to you whether you want to do it or not. I feel it really intensified the shimmer, and of course it always allows me to place the shadow exactly where I want it, especially on the lower lash line, since I was using that kind of like as an eyeliner. I really wanted to make sure it adhered to the lower lash line, so by spraying your brush, you're definitely going to get to that accurate placement that you want with these shimmer shades. Now guys, these are $4. I think they're absolutely fabulous for $4, but should you go in expecting, you know, Natasha Denona quality? Probably not. They are $4 drugstore eyeshadow palettes. They perform like they're more than $4, but I wouldn't say they perform like they're, you know, $30, $40, $50 eyeshadow palettes. They definitely get the job done. They provide beautiful pigmentation and blendability, but you do need to work with them just a little bit. However, I do think this new formula is definitely a step up from the previous formula. You can really tell the difference when swatching. These are definitely more dry when compared to this new vegan buttery smooth goodness formula that Wet n Wild has created for us. Now, I know some of you might be wondering, well, how do they compare to the e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadow palettes? These are 4-pan eyeshadow palettes, and these retail for $3. $3 versus $4, so you get one more shade, and it's a little bit larger, obviously. But in my personal opinion, guys, these were okay. Like, these were good because they're budget friendly, and you know, you're definitely getting more than what you're paying for. But again, they're not Natasha Denona quality. They're not, you know, Pat McGrath. They're not that type of formulation. However, this new Wet n Wild formula is definitely smoother and creamier than the bite-sized e.l.f. eyeshadow palette. So if you're wondering, well, which one is easier to blend, which one has more pigmentation, most of these do have great pigmentation from e.l.f. However, I will say this was one of the palettes that really gave me some trouble out of the bunch. This was one that, it just kind of got on my nerves. But this little green palette over here, and I have all of the bite-sized eyeshadow palettes, but I picked these two just because they closely resemble the ones I have right here in front of me from Wet n Wild. I will say that this green one was actually one of the better ones in the bunch. So I kind of feel like maybe these little e.l.f. bite-sized palettes were a little bit hit or miss on my end. However, again, I don't have all 6 shades in these new 5-pan eyeshadow palettes from Wet n Wild, but the 2 I do have, they did pretty well, and they were definitely the way Wet n Wild is describing them. Buttery, smooth, easy to blend, easy to apply. And I do appreciate, and most of you will out there as well, that they are now a vegan formula. So guys, those were my thoughts, my first impression, my demo quick tutorial over these new Wet n Wild makeup products. What did you guys think of everything I showed you guys today? I definitely enjoyed working with these shadows. I think that Wet n Wild really did a good job with the formula. It is definitely a huge improvement, and you're gonna notice it right off the bat, guys. You're gonna notice how creamy and blendable these shadows really are. Some you just gotta work with a little bit more than others, but you know what, guys? That happens in all eyeshadow palettes. Inexpensive to high-end luxury. So guys, leave me your comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on these new Wet n Wild products. What are you interested in trying out? Definitely be on the lookout for my next few videos that are going to feature 2 looks with each of these new formulated 10-pan eyeshadow palettes from Wet n Wild. I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night wherever it is you all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink your water, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.